Through its first 4 episodes, Invincible Season 2 has continued the show's trend of throwing curveballs in the story, but they have given subtle hints of what's to come through its episode titles. Let me know in the comments section where you think the story will end up going when Season 2 returns in the new year. But before Nolan asks me where Mark is, I question what's on his hands, he gets pissy and flies off.
Where's Mark, William? You were supposed to drop him off an hour ago.
That's not blood on you, is it?
I'd like to say hello, guys and gals. I'm Nick, and welcome to Furthy's Feedback. So, Invincible has continued its rather interesting title trend for its episodes since Season 2 began. Every episode title is in quotation marks, though a fair amount of the time, the quote isn't said either at all or not in that episode. While they give away something that happens in the episode, it is as unorthodox as it is original regarding episode titles. Invincible Season 2 has had no shortage of twists in its first 4 episodes. From there being proof of an evil Mark Grayson, to Alan the alien being beaten to near death, to Mark reuniting with his dad, to the Viltrumites showing a taste of their power. Invincible Season 2 has not wasted time. Better yet, the episode titles have served as subtle hints of what has yet to come in the story, which should only be scarier knowing where Invincible Season 2 Part 1 ended. It's all about subtlety. He's either lying to you, or he's in desperate need of a dump.
What exactly did you see them take?
They was working on the tires. That's all that was took.
Invincible Season 2 introduced the multiverse to the show by introducing its main villain, Angstrom Levy. Originally, Levy was a pacifist whose main intention was to help other dimensions whose planet had been taken over by Invincible and Omni-Man. However, when his experiment goes awry, his mutilated self vows to kill every version of Invincible out there when he acquires the memories of Invincible from the different versions of himself. The episode's title foreshadowed the lesson that Levy would learn in the very next episode in an alternate dimension. The title, A Lesson for Your Next Life, foreshadows the next episode, but only briefly at the end. Angstrom has visited a dimension where Omni-Man is dead and Invincible is defeated. Levy tricks Mark into telling him how planet Earth overcame the 2 Viltrumites, thus showing how he learned his lesson about his mortal enemy in another life. Since he can control the multiverse, Angstrom is likely gathering information in multiple dimensions before making his move on the good-natured Mark Grayson. Just waiting to make that first move. We've all been there, folks. Since then, Angstrom Levy has not shown up since his last appearance in the 2nd episode, which could insulate that he may not necessarily be a villain exclusively for Season 2 as much as he is a villain for Invincible's long run. It wouldn't be surprising given that Levy has an extraordinary power at his fingertips. Season 2 may have him continuously learn how to defeat Invincible in multiple dimensions. Invincible has introduced more villains in Season 2, so Levy may not return until the very end, if at all, in his quest to kill Mark. Mark travels to Atlantis after Cecil tells of his latest orders because Omni-Man killed Aquarius in cold blood. His next of kin, Mark, must marry Queen Aquaria to compensate for Omni-Man's actions. Mark hoped this wouldn't be true, given that he was in a good relationship with his current girlfriend, Amber. Lucky for Mark, he was right, but the episode title hinted that Mark would lose his virginity. While Mark runs away from his arranged marriage, the episode playfully foreshadows that Mark will lose his virginity in the very next episode. I've already spoken about what happens to Mark's sex life. You can view that video up there. But the soundtrack that goes with it is this.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you.
Missive is another word for message, while machination is another word for plan. This would play into Invincible's mid-season finale, but only through the Viltrumites introduced in the previous episode. The Viltrumites showed their ruthlessness when they ambushed Alan the alien and tore him apart. It turned out that that was just a taste of what was to come when they faced off against Mark and Nolan on the Thraxan planet. After they had taken care of business with Mark and Nolan, through the 3 Viltrumites sent to carry out the mission died, another Viltrumite named Craig sent his missive to Mark about the Viltrumites' machination to not only execute Nolan for leaving his post, but also to have Mark take his father's mission to take over Earth. Even worse, he demands that Mark kill several people to prepare them for the Viltrumite invasion, or risk losing a few million at the hands of the Viltrumites when they inevitably come to Earth if Mark refuses to oblige. Yeah, Mark?
We the victims.
Even though the phrase "it's been a while" is a direct reference to Omni-Man reuniting with Invincible for the first time after nearly beating him to death, knowing how the other titles foreshadowed other events, there's no telling what it could also reference in the future. Several characters who appeared in Season 1 have yet to show their faces in Season 2. Battle Beast, Titan and the Flaxans could potentially come back. Or, following all that has happened with Debbie, perhaps a reunion with her and Nolan, who lied and abandoned her following his attempted takeover, could be on the cards. It could also be a potential reference to the previously mentioned Angstrom Levy, who hasn't shown his face since episode 2. Or it could be a flash forward or a reference to the fact that Invincible went on hiatus. Every time an episode title foreshadows an Invincible subplot, it's either been a pretty important plot point or reflects on a character dynamic thus far. Invincible has always managed to completely flip the perspective on everything, and one of the more clever ways it's hinted at what was to come in Season 2 has been through its episode titles.